evening, and welcome to another episode of What's It Really Worth? Is it? What?
They could be watching it in the morning.
Okay, we'll start that all over. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another episode of What's It Really Worth? I'm Raz,
And I'm Rich.
and today we're going over
We're doing Gloomhaven today.
all 24 pounds of it.
And really, I'm sure everybody has seen the memes about Gloomhaven. They are accurate. This thing is a beast.
It is monstrously big.
I almost brought a scale with me today, just so we could do a zoom as I drop it on the scale.
Yeah, you didn't have to. My testicle is, there's a whole hernia thing going on. This game was a Kickstarter, right, Rich? And
Yes.
A successful Kickstarter, came out really well. And a lot of this is that you're going to see today is the true retail box.
Right.
But there were stretch goals that are out there as well that even add to the bulk of this, correct?
I believe so. I didn't follow the original Kickstarter. I got this through retail. I did get lucky and got it at retail at the Kickstarter price. I had a really good store, and he, got a bunch of copies. He's like, "I'll do it at Kickstarter price, even though it's going to be at retail. So I'm going to really not make much off it, but I know you guys are interested in it, and I want to get you back into the store." So, So before I'm going to jump ahead here. So I got the box for $100, and 24 pounds of fun for $100.
Fun.
And retail price right now probably averages about 130, depending on where you are. Some people have seen it as high as 150.
Yeah. And still a good value.
Yes. Yeah. So we'll get into all that as we start going through this.
Okay. So a little back about it. Let's talk about Gloomhaven overall. Where are we coming from at Gloomhaven? What is this game?
All right. So this is a dungeon crawl. This is Descent. This is Shadows of Brimstone. It's a dungeon crawl game.
Yep.
You've got map tiles that you go through. You have your miniatures out there, and you go through it. It's just they took it in a different direction as far as mechanics, and I guess technically it is a legacy game.
Right.
And we'll discuss that more later on. But there are X number of scenarios, and there are stickers that you put onto the map to that affect what's going on as you move along.
Characters and items and abilities that don't get recognized or released unless you complete certain objectives.
Correct.
This game keeps you guessing, and if you're one of those people that play by the rules, and I have a child who does that to the T.
I have not opened any of my sealed. Where is it?
Yeah,
right here. Still sealed.
There are sealed envelopes and miniature packs or character packs that will say "Do not open unless you'll be instructed when."
I did cheat a little bit. I did open up one of the miniature packs because I just had to see what this miniature was going to be.
Okay. Which one?
It is the. I can't tell.
No, okay. Okay.
No. I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
All right. So. So let's get down into the actual our rating of the game and the playtesters' rating of the game. So MSRP.
MSRP. We rated it a 5. I mean,
how can you not?
We can't go any higher than that, but it is absolutely. I mean, you have 24 pounds of map tiles. You've got miniatures. Everything is individually sealed. You got your miniature box. You got the cards that go with the miniature box. All symbol coded to make it easy.
If you're anal,
yeah, I mean, you've got these great life experience trackers that are in there. You've got these are all bagged already because I had to punch everything out. But you've got bags of creature tokens,
bits,
and map tile tokens, and coin tokens and creature tokens and. This is a massive amount of stuff.
Yep.
And that's not even including all the cards that are in it. Instead of using dice, their randomness is generated through cards. Each character has a different card deck for their randomness as to what happens.
Yep.
The creatures have their own card deck. You have random events that occur before you even start the game.
Very much like Kingdom Death Monster. Yep.
Now, unlike Kingdom Death Monster, you probably are not going to be... we haven't played through all the scenarios, we haven't drawn all the cards.
Good God, no.
But it doesn't look like you would be killed by one of these pre-game scenarios, but it does affect what happens during the scenario.
Yeah.
In fact, the first one we played through, we had a dragon show up. Luckily for us, we did the right thing and did not get in the dragon's way, and were rewarded for it.
Yeah, it was, which is in that way the game has. If I had to say what it's a mashup of, and it really is just for the lore or feel of the game. Rich and I were talking before we started shooting. It would be Dark Sun kind of meets Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Because it is raw and it is mean, and sometimes the obvious choice isn't the obvious choice. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because Warhammer Fantasy will do that to you. But yeah, no, it's amazing the amount of stuff you get, and if you're into that concept of getting the team together to play, or your tabletop guys or pen and paper guys that just don't have the time anymore to sit down and do a 4 or 6 hour D&D session.
Right.
How long? It's 2 years if you played it once a week.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll get into that in the replayability when we go through number of scenarios. But yeah, I mean, this is perfect. This scratches that wanting to play a fantasy campaign without a person having to control it for all the rest of the players and set everything up in advance and make sure if they're not following a specific scenario book, set everything up in advance and make sure everybody does what they're supposed to. This is everything right in the box.
And the last thing we'll say about this part of it, let's do this in playtime. So playtime setup.
All right, so playtime setup, a little low. And we gave it a 2.5. Everybody who went through it was like, there is a lot of stuff to put together. And though you don't have to pre-set up like you do a D&D campaign or any kind of fantasy campaign, the scenarios that are in the book do require some setup to begin with.
Right.
Then you have to sort through all the tokens and the map tokens and put everything in place and make sure you get the certain cards that go with the certain creatures, and there's a lot of setup to it. It probably took us about 30 minutes with me having bagged and organized everything in advance.
Yep.
To get it all set up.
Yeah, this isn't a crack a box play a game.
Right.
This is a crack a box, spend a couple days getting it all organized, and then start playing a game.
Yeah, so, I mean, if everyone's meeting at someone's house and the person has it and they can set it all up before everyone gets there, it's great, as long as that person doesn't mind doing all the work.
Yeah. But they're not a GM. They're not like in Conan. I don't want you to think, or Dissent, where there is an overlord or someone playing against the team. This literally is box versus players.
Correct.
So if you do set up, you do then get to sit down with your friends and become high-fiving white guys as you go through, and gals, as you go through the scenario. So this is truly an environment versus the players, not one player manipulating the environment and actually playing the NPCs. So that's kind of a nice twist. It's nice because Dissent, Conan, all those, there's always going to be someone calling the shots.
Right.
So. All right, so let's talk learning curve.
All right, so I taught it to you, so what do you think?
We're gonna go 3. The playtesters, I think, all settled around a 3. It takes a little while to learn. There's a lot of things to go over and cover, especially in your first game. However, the rules seem to apply equally to every character. It's how the character uses those rules. For instance, a character, the scoundrel, starts with 9 specialty cards, okay? What do these mean? Well, there are things that they do to set up combos, attacks, whether they'll defend in a turn, whether they're going to attack. We got a little confused at first because everyone else had 10. But then we figured out as we were playing why the scoundrel only has 9. She hits so damn hard, and she exerts so much energy, she doesn't recoup the same as everybody else. And those cards, as you use them, you have choices. Pull a big attack off, you burn the card.
Right.
Use the smaller attacks and meter out your damage for the long haul of the particular map you're on, and they do better. So it really depends on what you're looking to do in a one big shot kill, and it's interesting. So learning curve, that's why we gave it a 3.
Yeah, there's also a lot of symbols involved. You have to know what each of the symbols means, and until you've played a few times, not all of them are absolutely intuitive. Yeah. Would you know that that's a symbol for the fighter? To me, that looks like a crown or a minotaur.
Which the fighter? Well, we don't have the fighter mini out, but we will show you some of the minis. The quality is good.
Yes.
I mean, part of the MSRP, the quality is good. One of the other things about this game with the learning curve, The kill steal. Why don't we talk about the kill steal?
Okay, so this game is all about co-op, but wanting to be better than the other guys. So everybody gets secret objectives, and your objective might be to kill 4 guys.
Yep.
I might be right about to kill somebody, but you're like, oh, I need that 4th guy. Boom, you jump in, you steal him, you kill him.
Yep.
You get the XP for him, you get the loot from him, if you manage to loot that spot. So there really is a little bit of a stealing aspect from one another. And it does set up a nice little competition as everybody's trying to get everything. And it can lead to maybe somebody, leaving the rest of the group in the lurch as they try and get their objective and not worry about the rest of the group.
Not just objectives only, though. Looting.
Yeah.
Kill steals for experience and loot. And loot is non-transferable.
Yes.
So if a boss drops something that really could have helped another player, like armor, but you already have armor, you now have two pieces of armor. You can't share it.
Right.
It's a funky mechanic that I wasn't sure I was going to like. Didn't play very deep through the scenarios. There, as we said, there's 95 of them.
We haven't said that yet.
I'm sorry, there's 95 of them. 2 years if you played once a week. But we didn't see if that was going to be how that affected long term.
Right.
But short term, we were playing with a third playtester, and I came in to do a massive attack. And the first thing I got was, really? You had to take my stuff? I'm like, listen, I'm working on an objective. And sure enough, I got branded a ninja steal, a KS or so. That's interesting part of it. So.
And talking about looting, you can't just move and take loot.
No.
There actually is a card effect that is called loot.
Yeah, an action.
That's the only way you can loot a treasure chest, is if you have that loot card. So you're getting close to the end, you're getting close to that treasure chest, you got a great attack and you've got loot. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Do you move off and go loot while your friends fight? Are they watching you while you do it? Perhaps.
So yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a competition, and depending on your group, you can make it more or less competitive.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you want to get 4 guys? Okay, I'll let you take this one. But we like to screw each other over. So.
Okay, so replayability.
All right, so this is a bit of a debate between us.
Yep.
So Gloomhaven is technically a legacy game. You add stickers to your map board, you open things as they occur. So, in effect, once you have played completely through it, some of the shine might have come off in that you know what's going to happen already.
Yeah.
However, I rated a little bit higher on replayability because there are 95 scenarios. So for me, replayability is, are you going to get this back out on the table again?
Mm-hmm.
And how often will you get it out? With this one, again, like you said before, 95 scenarios. If you played once a week, you're looking at almost 2 years worth of playing.
Yeah. Skipping holidays.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games in this box.
Oh, there's a ton. Yeah, replayability, that is part of it. And I don't like legacy games because anybody who's out there and understands the legacy concept, the game dies as the game's value goes down, or you actually can't play it again because you've marked the map and done other things. The genius of legacy, though, is because it's playing on the one thing board gamers can't stand, which is an unfinished game.
Yes.
Most board gamers have this real
got to complete it.
A real need. Ask the Twilight Imperium guys; they won't leave the table. So if you have that core group that wants to finish or says, "I have to know what happens on the next page," and there are a bunch out there, this is ingenious. They will, if they can come back and keep playing. Not only did you get your money's worth, I mean, think about it. If every game took 2 hours at 95 scenarios, you're talking about the game costing you pennies per play. That's phenomenally ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and then we look at genre.
Yeah. Now, genre's a little bit of a tough one. It's fantasy, it's legacy, it's dungeon crawl, all very popular.
Yep.
Everybody kind of likes it. Got rated a little bit lower, and it's fantasy, but it's not your traditional fantasy, which may turn some people off. Some people want dwarves and elves and halflings. This doesn't really have them. They have entirely different races for it. As we talked about earlier, either before the show or early on, like the old D&D campaign Dark Sun.
Yep.
You know, it's not quite the fantasy world you know. Even though, you know, dragons appear and other things appear that are obviously, you know, fantasy staples, it's not a traditional set of races.
Yeah, it's not high fantasy.
Right. But I kind of like it. It was something different.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have the stalwart dwarves and the haughty elves. You had pretty much a whole bunch of races that are trying to screw each other over.
Yeah, it definitely has a different feel. And while the classes seem to be traditional, you know, and we'll go with the slang terms of tank, DPS, and things. Your scoundrel is still a DPS machine. Your tank is still trying to absorb some of the damage and hold point. How they played was interesting.
Yes.
And how they moved about. So, yeah, it's not high fantasy. As a matter of fact, it's a darker version of fantasy. It's almost well, you had said it when we were looking at some of the artwork. It almost has a demonic sort of quality to the look. And I'm not a fan. I'm not saying high fantasy is the end all to be all. I like a little bit of it in there. So the artwork on this was a little freaky to me, but it goes away. You stop forgetting about it the minute the miniatures are on the board because they're so gorgeous and you just want to play it.
Yeah, you just want to have fun. You know, for me, it was, you know, wanting to turn over the next card, the next scenario bit, just to see what was going to happen next.
Yep.
And again, you know, like I showed you earlier, you know, haven't opened my sealed stuff yet.
No.
Here's a great one. This is all it said. Looks like Dwarven script or whatever. It's runic script.
Yep.
No idea what it's for yet.
You haven't. Yeah, it's fun. It's
Yeah.
funky. So we gave it a 3. That 3.5 I think was a fair number for that.
For the genre, correct.
Yeah, for the genre. That's overall an 18 out of 25, which is solid.
Yeah. No, absolutely a great game. I'm looking forward to getting it on the board more.
Yep, on the table. Yep.
Yep. Now, we talked about legacy. The company that puts this out, Cephalofair Games, they came out with removable stickers for the game.
Okay.
They are a completely separate piece, so they have to be bought separately, not to be part of the initial purchase. They're not particularly expensive. They're about $10.
That's enough.
But that means that, you know, if you want to play through all the scenarios again, you know, you've gone through 2 years and you want to do another 2 years of it because you want to play a different character this time, you'll be able to, because you can take these removable stickers, pull them off, start over.
Yeah. And the other thing about this, if we want to be honest, it's a 1 to 4 player game. So,
Correct.
and because it's against the environment, you could, if you are an agoraphobe or don't like people in general, you could sit there and run this sucker by yourself. Now, I'm not advocating that. Go out, be with people, game with people. But if you really don't want to, this is the granddaddy of them all.
This will give you years of, well, I know,
Loneliness.
Maybe if you're by yourself, maybe you finish it in 3 months.
Oh, good God. You know, well, yes, you could. And it would be something to talk about.
And then you start another character and do that for 3 months. You could go through 4 characters in a year.
Yeah, if you really are that introverted. So, okay, so that's Gloomhaven. Any other last thoughts before we just close this out? I mean, again, I don't know how you say it. We're going to show you, during the course of the show, we'll have a shot of just the box and how it all fits together, but I don't know how you speak against this game, even if it's not your thing. Because one of the people that helped us with the playtest on the first time we went through it definitely isn't a dungeon crawl person.
No.
As a matter of fact, prefers the terraforming Mars, build your tableau, build your engine, sit quietly, play that. And very much got into it. Actually seemed to enjoy and rated the game very highly. So even if it's not something that you think people might be interested in, see if you can get them to sit at the table once, twice. You may find that this one pulls them in somehow. Because it is interesting.
Yeah, it does. The action cards, and we'll show you a couple samples of them, do provide a little bit of a cinematic feel. You know, the one player managed to leap through the air.
Yeah, anime style.
Smacking 3 things as she moves along over top of them.
Kate Beckinsale, Underworld, the first one when she cuts Victor. That type of a jump and kill, and we were like, what the? It was fabulous.
It was awesome. It was
really
a
cool.
lot of fun. We all laughed after that. It was just amazing.
Yeah. So okay, so that's Gloomhaven. Next month, I think, are we going to talk about? We want to talk about Rising Sun, or
I think next month we'll do Rising Sun.
Yeah, that's another big one. Some of these Kickstarter games are just coming out huge, and they're just adding more and more pieces as people get, the funding comes. So we'll talk about Rising Sun, which is an incredibly different game from this.
Absolutely different game.
But both are very, very good. So until next time, I'm Raz.
And I'm Rich.
And good night, everyone.
Good night.